2025. This live stream of HOA Today is brought to you by Zayuk Smart Property System. Zayuk is built primarily for HOAs and condos and high-rise buildings. We can also do, residential, but the system is built and optimized for HOAs and condos, and that means meetings, enhanced integration with meetings, understanding the asset ledger, which is a living reserves. So if you know anything about HOAs, you have a reserves account, and that reserves account and your reserve study is a mechanism for you to understand how much finances you need stored in your reserves to make these asset improvements, changes, enhancements when parts of your property, whether that be roofing, balconies, asphalt, water heaters, begin to deteriorate. You have someone come out annually to inspect your assets. Zayuk does that, and we actually integrate that inspection with some sophisticated reality capture technology to create survey grade level visualizations and models of your property. And with better insight into the data comes better decision making, better communication. And one of the biggest problems is often communication, not because people don't want to do it, but because it's difficult. It's not an obvious process. It's not obvious how you can own and manage property. And there's a lot of areas for people to take advantage of the situation. And actually, there was a pretty serious few headlines that came out yesterday. So in Atlanta, quote, 77-year-old HOA treasurer charged with misappropriating funds, unquote. That is from the WSB TV Atlanta. Carrollton Homeowner Association arrested for embezzlement, alleged embezzlement between 2022 and 2025. Kane misused thousands of dollars in HOA funds for personal expenses and forged a bank document during that time, unquote. No release as to how much was done or how much the alleged embezzlement was, but that's pretty serious. And as a leader in an HOA, you don't want much. You don't want to have that much responsibility. You actually want to be in a position where you're not even trusted. Like, you have the mechanisms of auditability available to you so that you never get accused of anything. Those mechanisms allow you to easily distribute information when it's requested. And as a leader, there are times where it's not in people's interest to do that, and there are other times when it is in people's interest to do that. So just having a mechanism to easily distribute information in an appropriate way is important. And having an understanding that in 2025, as we move towards a position of Web3, stable coins, decentralized finance, that yesterday I had a podcast on information and privacy, pretty much speaking about how privacy is gone. We don't have privacy. Actually, I just saw a video on social media explaining the surveillance state mechanisms in China, and they, have to log their face, and this is for a foreigner, and they have to, be logged at their face level in various locations that they want to visit. So there really is little privacy. And in regards to homeowner associations and being a board on an HOA, it's in your interest to have mechanisms to easily distribute various financial data people are interested. What's the money being spent on? And often people are not spending it negligently. It is being spent appropriately. And one issue is having mechanisms to easily communicate what is being spent is important. But what happened here regarding this person who is alleged of embezzlement from 2022 to 2025, it's important to understand there is no privacy. It's in your best interest to communicate this information, so you just you're not accused of anything. You understand the digital the mechanisms of society today. Lots of digital traceability. Anything on the internet pretty much stays there. So we'll move on. We spoke I think last week, about a Minnesota homeowner association that was they had roofing issues and they eventually were assessed. So here we'll do quote, 5 of those residents have decided to sue their HOA and its board members after being stuck with roofing bills totaling $17,000 each. And the issue here, and this goes to vendor appropriation as well, is that let me continue. Here we go. Quote, attorney Stephen Little, representing the 5 homeowners, believes the agreement was made to benefit the roofing contracting company Gittleman Construction and Maintenance Corporation, which is an affiliate of First Service Residential, the property management company for the Avonlea Townhome Association. So this, unquote, this is the issue that can come up at any point. And this system, the homeowner association system, is difficult at many layers. There's a lot of areas for people to, whether that be a board member, a manager. I mean, I believe 2 days ago we had a podcast about how a manager in Atlanta was arrested for allegedly embezzling. And here we have a vendor that is being the HOA and board is being accused of choosing a specific vendor. Okay, so let's continue. Quote, most of the roofs have no damage at all, unquote. Or continue. We have independent roofing contractor reports that show there's nothing wrong with these roofs. These people's homes, and now they're being threatened with losing their homes for an association lien if they're not able to come up with $17,000, unquote. So now that we've seen that, let's move to Zayuk, Smart Property System. Zayuk is a reality capture technology. If you are a homeowner, it is in your best interest to document the hygiene of all of your assets, whether that's your roofs, whether that's your gutters, whether that's your balconies, whether that's your asphalts, and it creates a trustless environment where it's not about what did this person see? What did that person see? No, there's no trust between you, because unless you're a professional structural engineer or professional construction manager, or you have deep experience in these things, which few people do, you're not qualified to speak on the hygiene or assess the hygiene of your assets, the structural, the landscaping, and how that's affecting various parts of your assets, whether that be the sidewalks or how the foundation's doing. All these things need to be documented, and the easiest way to do that is with pictures, is with drones, is with reality capture technology that is survey grade and integrates with your various other workflows. And those workflows include tickets. Those workflows include, when I say tickets, service requests, architecture requests, violations, just normal work orders, whatever that may be. And even things like voting. So if you want to vote on structural changes, and having a mechanism to be able to visualize what's going to happen is important. So, and for this association in Minnesota, if you had used Zayuk reality capture technology, you would have a documented trace in the same app that you use daily of the roofs every year. And then you don't have to trust a roofing contractor. You don't have to trust your board. You don't have to trust anyone. You see the documentation, you see the photos, you see the model. And not just that, you can distribute that information, those models, to various vendors through Zayuk Safe. It is a very powerful mechanism in that sense, because when you have survey grade, and this is the issue that a lot of, I don't know, other people that do reality captures, we can integrate those reality captures, but we need to make sure that they're actually survey grade level. And that requires forms of precision GPS technology, which is not, it's called RTK. I'm not going to get into it. It is, it's in enterprise level, it's industrial level. And so if you are taking a reality capture of a property, and you're actually going to be using that for, say, understanding for a vendor to comprehend what he's working with, how many dimensions of so much he needs, various things. What was the quality of life 1 year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago? It is it's a trustless system, so you don't have to worry about yourself, and it's a easy to distribute system. So if you are part of a HOA that would like to document your roof hygiene, your balcony hygiene, your asphalt hygiene, if you want to become a little bit more trustless, the best way to do that is to contact Zayuk through, you can contact me, or you can contact Zayuk through our website, zayuk.com, and speak to us about getting inspections done on your property. And we'll, talk about it. We can talk about how we integrate that with the rest of our app, and how we integrate that with your board's tools, your manager's tools, and various other mechanisms. So Minnesota, so we spoke about that we spoke about this a few weeks ago. It seems like this issue is still ongoing in Minnesota. The HOA's response in a letter to homeowners dated June 5th, extensive storm-related damage. And Minnesota, heavy snowfall, different requirements. It's important to, and then here's the big thing, quote, HOA Association Board President said that it's possible that the HOA board did not do their due diligence in sharing photos or documentation of damage with homeowners. So again, reality capture technology, integrate it with your app. As a board member, it's in your best interest to just document all of these things. And I'll be showing an example of a reality capture soon. But trustless systems, trustless environment, that's today, as I spoke about yesterday in my live stream. Information and privacy. There's no information. There's no privacy. You have no privacy. As a board member, maybe 10, 15 years ago, it'd be easier to embezzle funds. There'd be much less privacy. 2025, you have Facebook, you have many mechanisms of auditability, and the laws across the nation are changing towards putting more regulations on homeowner associations, and whether that be Florida, Carolina, California, I believe New Jersey, there are mechanisms going into place realizing how important these issues are. So being trustless is just helpful for everyone. And because these mechanisms, these laws, they're changing the industry too, because managers have to adjust their way of going about business. And again, I spoke about this yesterday. Not just the HOA management industry is going through a crisis of not having enough people. There's not enough HOA managers out there, and that's not going to change. Actually, I think it will get worse. What will help is creating these environments of trustlessness and also communicating that information specifically through digital twins, which is the 3D model with various real-time system analytics. When I say real-time systems, like, we know how much the roof was assessed for in the reserve study, or we know if there's any work orders on the light post, things of that nature, real-time system analytics, and survey grade level visualizations. That is so key to get those two together. And I think through the next 20, I'm going to say even less, 5-10 years, that will grow significantly. The mechanisms for, and Zayu handles that in terms of HOA management, property management, but in other industries, people are surely doing it, and it is a very powerful mechanism that AI brings us. So let's continue to a new article. So I believe last week we spoke about a pig. This family had a pig, and they moved to a new neighborhood with a pig that they had for 7 years. The city of Shawnee provided a permit at the family's previous home, but this is an HOA infraction, and said, quote, the HOA board president Stephen Drum claimed Lee asked for approval and was denied before purchasing her home, unquote. So there's not much you can say if she was denied. And although one pig may not be an issue, especially if that pig is, kept to the same hygiene standards other people's dogs are, it sets a precedent, surely, for livestock. It does. They have a pig. Well, can I have a chicken or 2 or 3 or 4? It sets precedent. And, just like our federal government, precedent matters. And that goes all the way down to HOAs. So you have the federal government, you have state governments, you have local municipalities, and then you have HOA. And that's why it's so important to understand several things. The the financial hygiene of that property, because many people purchase within an HOA just worrying about the location and the amenities and various lifestyle parameters. Do I like this spot? Do I want to live here? Is it close to my work? Is it close to possibly my kids' schooling? And very few consider it in terms of a business, in terms of, I'm investing a share into this property, into generally this nonprofit corporation, and I should understand the financial mechanisms behind this business, whether that is how their collections output to vendor appropriation, meaning how they spend their money across their vendors, as well as how are the reserves funds being managed. So how much money does this corporation have in the bank to handle its future assets improvement? And that includes asset hygiene. So that's where the reserve study comes in, looking at the quality of the property, How's the asphalt doing? How's the stucco and the paint doing? Does anything look deteriorated? And I forget the name of this. Curb appeal? How much curb appeal? Curb appeal, to a certain degree, it's not understanding the quality of the asset is very important, and that's what matters. And so just understanding it's a business is very important. Understanding, just like a corporation, this business has a board of directors, and just like a corporation, it can employ people. It's important to consider. Most people don't consider it. Most people just look at it from the parameters of, again, lifestyle, which is fine. But not always. As we've seen, a lot of times that didn't end up poorly. But with Floridians right now, in the wake of their extreme weather, in the wake of various legal changes, it is a serious issue. And so if your association was prepared and had been invested and had been ready to invest for several years, that's a huge plus. And if not, then it becomes often a cost that becomes in the six digits. I've seen that multiple times for Floridian assessment issues. And then going to this, so we spoke about financial hygiene, asset hygiene, and then going back to the pig governance rules. If you want to own a pig, make sure that the place you live allows pigs. That's even dogs or cats. Make sure when you go there that they allow the type of dog you have or this amount of pets you have, because it can easily get out of hand. And maybe you'll be able to fight it for a few years, but it will become a pain point for everyone. All right, here we go. Atlanta news first. Lester Point community of Fairburn, Georgia. Dozens in active lawsuits with their HOA, many with liens on their homes. Fines, fees, and liens. This is an important thing. You need to vote people in who you trust. It's a very difficult thing. One person had a marshal serve a judgment for an outstanding balance near $15,000. The HOA fined him $150 a week for hosting an Airbnb from September 2023 to current day, although he says it's not active. It's very difficult. I mean, this gets out of hand. You try and not let it get this far out of hand, but at times there's no other way. But as a board, I mean, California just passed a law. Maximum is $100 fine. And if someone is actually hosting an Airbnb in their home and that's not permitted for a year and a half, that becomes a huge issue for neighbors. Those guests and those short-term renters have much fewer ties to the community, reasons to care what the other neighbors think or abide by the rules. So that's a very difficult issue, and seems many HOA gone MIA. And then here's some Georgia HOA laws. Quote, must disclose financial records, can file a lien foreclosure on liens $2,000 plus. Fines and fees need to be reasonable. Late fees cannot be more than 10% of the time, 10% of the fine. Any major changes require vote amendments filed. It's very difficult not getting a response. And then here in Arizona, quote, Glendale homeowner claims life is in danger because HOA refuses to fix roof. Big hole in the roof for 2 years. Well, what does the governance rule say? Whose responsibility is that? That's the most important thing. Understanding where the governance is. Whose responsibility is that roof? Okay, here, quote, a spokesperson with Alpha Community Management said a roofer determined last year that the hole was caused by a leak in the wall and that repairs are the homeowner's responsibility. That is a huge issue. It's difficult to handle these things, these small things, because that's not a small thing. That's a hole in your roof. And 2.5 years is too long. That's kind of a joke. No offense, but this is your life. Same thing, going back to the Hawaiian, we spoke about this 2-3 days ago, and I believe yesterday as well, is Hawaii starting to ask homeowner associations to handle their own brush fire removal, the brush fire near the homes, and it seems appropriate. I mean, you want the city to do it, but what happens when the city doesn't do it? Are you still willing to risk your well-being and your property's well-being and your financial well-being just because you believe it's the right thing to do? Doesn't make sense. So in that case, if I was at HOA, I would either work heavily with the city or attempt to just get it done myself. Being in a homeowner association is not easy, but it is still better than being a homeowner, because being able to split that cost across 30 people and having mechanisms to do that, is the pros are much higher than often the cons are. I mean, if we spoke about these things, hole in the roof, yes, you want your HOA to do that, but I'm not sure what type of living environment that was. Pig, yes, you want a pig, understandably. It depends. It depends on who the leaders are. Thank you, everyone, for this episode of HOA Today. It's brought to you by Zayuk Safe. Zayuk Safe is an all-encompassing smart property system. We handle inspections. You can do your own inspection depending on the quality of reality capture technology you or your vendor has, but We bring visualizations, 3D context, visualization context that allow you to analyze the property and communicate issues across the property simpler, easier, less hassle. That includes meetings, that includes work orders, that includes voting. It's a powerful system. If you live in an HOA and are looking for a mechanism to understand the property better and to have information flow through the property better, reach out to us, reach out to me or to Zayuk. And